Hello, Mistie Layne. How are you tonight?
Hey, I am awesome, Tamara. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, actually. I'm doing great. Uh, I love that beginning. Isn't that fun?
It's very cool. Yeah, Skip did an amazing job with that.
Actually, Dean did these. Dean
Oh,
Hinckley. Yes, my magic friend. He did these. As he was like, okay, where's your logo for the event? And I gave it to him, and he's like, I have some things for you. So because he uses this app. He uses StreamYard, and so he did this for us. And yes, in fact, maybe we'll play that together tonight. What Skip did for the opening act. Did you see that
yes.
video?
Yes, I did. It was amazing.
I
Yeah.
truly right, and with Jeff Steinberg and MJ Raven. I mean, MJ's Raven. You I mean, I had to pinch myself. I know her, and I'm
Oh,
thinking,
yeah.
wow, oh yeah, she's really quite a supporter of Chemo Buddies for Life, and she's definitely uh there for us. And so when we were having this discussion about it, she's like, yeah, I'm there, let's do it. And they were able to put that together in like no time. Pretty
That's pretty
incredible.
great. Yeah, I think it was too. I just love how everybody pulls together for this. It's amazing. It just shows in the community how necessary it is, how many people it affects.
Right, right. So let's
Yeah.
talk about that because your background and your profession is one that you actually deal with those that are affected by cancer or possibly affected by cancer on a daily basis.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it every day. And not only do I see it, I get to watch the progression of it. I get to stay with the patient throughout their journey through the chemo as we scan them routinely, and then to see them on the other side when they're in remission. So it's a pretty unique position to be in, to be able to serve on the board as vice president, because I do have that patient side of it, and I have a lot of empathy coming from that angle. You
Right.
know.
Right, and that's why I wanted you to be a part of the board, and I'm grateful that you took the challenge, and it was something that from the moment that we met, you
Yeah.
let me know that you love this mission, and I'll never forget. I mean, we talk about it now all the time because here I met you and your story and your book and just everything you're out there talking about. And we did the interview on Service Heroes, and it was not until after that I find out, oh, the
Yeah.
day job is that you work with PET scans.
By
and
the
and
way.
oh, by the way, yeah, I deal with your community. and
Yeah.
and then we were in the next impactor together, and you continually, and I'll never forget it, you were always so supportive of the cause, and letting me know that you were always there, for you believed in Chemo Buddies so much. and
Yeah.
and and then afterwards it was like, okay, now it's time,
That's
let's do
right.
this. And you were like, okay, yeah, let's do this. And
Well,
your life has been crazy since then, even,
it
and yet
has been. Yeah.
you have been here for us. So let's talk about that, because your message is transparency.
Hmm.
Let's talk about your
Yeah.
message and then what's going on with you right now.
Sure. Sure. But first, I just want to say, Tamara, what really drew me, I mean, to Chemo Buddies throughout the whole Next Impactor, as you and I became friends and started learning each other, what what really just pounded it in for me, that made me know deep down in my soul that I wanted to be a part of this no matter what, was your passion for it. The way you were so passionate, because I knew you were coming from a place of service. I knew that it was an authentic place, it was a transparent place, and that makes it all the difference. There's so many nonprofits out there today that are just not, they're not service driven. They say they are, but they really aren't. And so with you, I knew it was the real deal. I knew it was something I could attach my name to proudly. And I believed in the cause and the purpose and the mission. And I just wanted to put that out front on the table, because I think it does make this organization different from most others. Yeah.
And thank you for saying that, and especially in our neck of the woods, in our, in the nonprofit arena,
Yeah.
within the cancer nonprofit arena, we're in a unique place, and yet we are different because we are not raising funds for cancer research. Though
Right.
I will say I am alive, I did go through traditional treatment, total disclosure, but it is not in our model that a buddy, if they are facing cancer, it doesn't matter what type of treatment they choose. Our whole philosophy is don't do it alone.
That's
Be a
right.
part of the community. Have a buddy. You know, don't be isolated, because those that are isolated are at risk, aren't they?
They are. As a matter of fact, there's a publication called Cure Today, and I was doing a little bit of research on it actually, and they say 65% of people that are married after cancer, live longer post 5 years of cancer, as opposed to if they're single, they don't have a spouse or support system, 45%. So
Oh,
it does make a tremendous difference. And not only for that, but what I love about this whole thing is it's not just for the cancer patient. It's
mhm.
for the spouse that don't know how to deal with the cancer patient. It's for the child that doesn't understand the mood changes in their parent. It's for the mother of the 18 or 15-year-old that don't understand what the teenager is going through as the patient. So it's a place for anyone affected by cancer to come to. And I think that's the another beautiful part of it is there's not one person that can't get some benefit from it. Even if
Right.
you just want to be educated about cancer, even if you don't even know anyone, which is pretty slim chance, but even
Yeah.
if you don't know someone that has cancer or that's going through chemo, um, it's just good to know these things because, you know, as humans, we want to be in a culture, we want to be in a community, and it's all about being supportive. So when our coworker gets sick or all of a sudden clams up and doesn't want to talk, or that you notice they're not eating anymore like they used to, or all these changes they're going through in their body, and you don't really know what to say to them, but something's going on. So by
Mhm.
being educated and understanding, you know how to handle it. You know the best way to approach that person to help them instead of making them feel like um, they're the target or making them feel odd or, you know, like the outcast, I guess. Yeah.
Right, right. And I've shared this story a lot because of the fact that it's real and it's
Mm-hmm.
transparent, and that is, here I have been through cancer in as a patient and in just about every role within my family. And then when a very close friend of mine ended up with cancer in a situation, I at very for a few seconds had that, oh, what should I say? And then it was like,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute, Tamara, you know exactly what to say. At that very
Yeah.
moment in time, I didn't know what to say except for I was there. And that, I care. And it can be as simple as that. Yet it's when you don't know what to say, and then you reserve or you step back because you don't know what to say, and then
Right.
that patient then thinks, well, wait a minute, what is it that I did that they don't want to be in my life anymore? And it
Yeah.
and that's where the disconnect takes place. And I I'll never forget, Misty. I had spoken somewhere, and this woman comes up to me and kind of like nearly like she's bawling, and she's needs a hug, and she's crying, and I'm holding her, and she's shaking, and I'm thinking, okay, and finally she starts to tell me. She goes, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say anything, and my friend died. And
Oh,
my
yeah.
friend thought I didn't care, and I live with that every
Mm-hmm.
single day.
Yeah.
And that's another buddy situation because it's a support buddy thing to help them through. And 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 that's not an uncommon situation too. And I would imagine with where you sit in your day job, you've got to see a lot of interesting stuff, right? And you're in
Yeah.
a HIPAA situation. You are, and that in itself lends to some interesting stuff too.
Yeah, it does. It does. As a matter of fact, I've driven several patients of mine personally to the chemo buddies, and I've gotten to see firsthand their their benefits all the way around, not just for them but for their spouses. I get feedback from them. Several of them have gotten pretty involved, and several of them have just come in, tested the waters a bit and kind of remained in the background. But that's okay because
Right.
they know that it's there for them when they're ready.
Right.
The whole thing you asked me at the beginning about transparency, I it's really hard for me, in my job because I do nuclear medicine. It's hard for me because I see patients come in that don't want anyone else to know. They're by themselves. They've driven themselves. They have to get the news by themselves. They have to do everything alone because they choose to.
Right.
Um, it's really hard on them. They're carrying the weight of everything on their shoulders because oftentimes when I approach and ask them, why isn't someone here with you? Why are you choosing not to tell them? What their response is, I don't want to burden my family. And that just breaks my heart because family, I mean, I'm Italian, I'm all about the family. But to me, that's what family is for. That's what family is, to carry you through the hard times, to carry you through together. Even if it's not family, the human race is, like I said, we're communal and we're all about community. So we want to help. It's our nature to want to help others. It's our blessings to give so that we can receive. And so, it's just transparency is important. I feel in every realm. Um, if you're out there struggling, if you've been diagnosed with cancer, or even if you're just up against some testing and you don't know what your fate is,
Right. Right.
just
That. Right.
share it. Share it. Don't be ashamed. Don't feel afraid. Well, you're going to feel afraid. I mean, I haven't been through cancer, but I can imagine you're going to feel afraid. But feel afraid with someone holding your hand. Don't do it by yourself.
Right.
Um, we're here today to push the buddies, and that's my big thing.
Right.
As a vice president, is I want to see the network grow because I believe that's the most important thing right now. We need money. Obviously, we need the money to make it grow, but I think the community growing is what's going to make the reach go global. And I believe that is the sole purpose, and that's what my heart's in it for.
Right.
So I just want to reach out to you today. I want everyone to reach down and hit that share button right now. And if it's not on my segment, if you're watching another segment or you're doing the replay, start a watch party, start all the segments. Sharing is free, and you have no idea the person is going to reach and what a difference it can make in their life. Even if it's just one person that can
Oh yeah.
get a buddy, even if it's just one, it makes such a huge difference, Tamara. And you know that. You've lived through it.
Oh yeah.
But I just encourage people to just be transparent. It's okay to have the feelings that you're going to be going through. Reach out, let a buddy in the network go that's been through it already help you through it and show you that the feelings you're going through are normal and that there are going to be brighter days ahead. That you might not feel like getting out of bed today, and that's okay. Don't get out of bed today, but
Mhm.
one day you'll need to put your foot down and get up out of that bed and let them help pull you up and let them help you do it.
Yes, yes, I love that, and absolutely so true. And you're right. And in fact, we have two simple goals with this event. Two.
Yeah.
That's it. Two. It could have been so many more because we have so much that we're doing. However, we made it simple, and that
Yep.
was to enroll buddies, both the support buddies and the patient buddies, and to raise the funds so that
Mm-hmm.
we can support the buddies and we can support this cause. That's it. That's it. 36 hours, and that's the goal.
Yeah.
And what I know, and this is where I love talking with you and being able to share it from both sides. Because coming from the patient side, coming from the support side, because I've been both, is that when you are facing that 6-letter word, you're gonna it looks different depending on what person it is that's facing it. When my daughter was facing it at 19,
Yeah.
That was a much different diagnosis than even when I faced it, and I won't mention what year, but later in life, because it it looks different in each
Mhm.
situation. And so here is someone, myself, that has heard those three words for five people, four generations, all through one line. That's one line. Grandfather, grandmother,
Yeah.
my brother, myself, and only two kids, and my daughter. One line, five people, and it was five different experiences. Not one time did I experience it in the same way. And that is also something that I would think is, I've talked to others, other buddies, that's not an uncommon situation. And so that's one reason also that the buddies network and the community is so vitally important, because what someone may experience in one way, when if they're going to possibly be able to resonate with someone else slightly differently. And so we need to have those numbers. We need to be able to say, okay, I went to this particular Zoom thing, and I was in with the group, and there was some comments being made, and I really connected with this one particular buddy, and we are going, we're buddies now, and we're going forward together. It is pretty darn incredible to witness that. It is incredible to see the synergy and the camaraderie and the hearing stories, like the laughter and the fun and the and it even goes back to, I keep going back to Sharon all the time, our senior ambassador that passed, but
Yeah.
she was with us a year longer than any doctor ever thought possible, because she had a reason to live. And and she had many buddies. She just kept adopting them. And so my experience with her was one, and then I hear of other experiences, and I was like, oh my goodness, how wonderful is that, that the legacy
Mhm.
and the absolute drive to continue is because there's a reason to live, to
Yes.
serve another, right?
Absolutely. And I definitely believe in that. My life has come full circle myself, and I have found giving to others is really what saved me from myself, from all the how we tend to pick ourselves apart sometimes on things that we've made mistakes on, or failures, or we feel maybe in a diagnosis of cancer, you feel like your body has failed you, or that you've done something to cause it, and so you pick yourself apart. So that comes full circle. And what I have found is, when we take that attention and that negative energy, and we focus on helping someone else and not focusing on us, then we just come up from it. It just makes us better. We feel better about ourselves. Now we have purpose. Now we see the good in us, because we're given something that we can give away. So I believe in that. That's so crucial. Yeah.
Why don't you? Because I know a lot of people know who you are, Misty. However, there's going to
Yeah.
be some people that are not going to really. They're going to say, "Okay, that sounds great, but how does she really know? She does this radiology thing and everything, but you truly know what you're talking about." And you
Yeah.
just coming full circle. Why don't you go a little bit into your past right now, so that people really understand the significance of what you're sharing?
Well, I've never been diagnosed with cancer. I do work with cancer patients. I have family members that, I've had family members that have been diagnosed with cancer and gone through chemo and radiation therapy. And but my adversity has been something a little bit different. I was in medical school on my way to becoming a surgeon, and got addicted to cocaine after a 10-year marriage ended pretty abruptly due to adultery. I got really down on myself, and it's nobody's fault but my own. I'm not putting the blame anywhere but on myself. I chose at 31 years old to try cocaine for the first time, a mother of two, and it took me down so hard and so fast. I had no control over it. I was completely powerless to it, and that led me into just the whole everything that comes with it. It's all in my book. I've got a book called What Goes Up. It's all in there in pretty great detail, what I went through. But there was a lot of domestic abuse that came into play, um, a lot of just self doubt. I went from being in beauty pageants full of confidence to being scared to open my mouth because I was in fear of being hit or voicing my opinion, and just becoming very timid. Also became a master manipulator behind the drugs. I went through prostitution, shoplifting, you name it. I pretty much did it because we're human and we follow patterns. And when people say, I've been through this and this is what's going to happen, we tend to think we're different and we're better or we're stronger and it won't happen to us. But that's just not the truth. If you're in an addiction, it's progressive no matter what, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, what background, how educated, not educated, what color, what neighborhood, it doesn't matter. Addiction's addiction. And if you open the door and let it in, there are certain things you're going to do for your drug. It might not happen the first year, 5 years, 6 years, but keep doing it. And I'm living testament. The things I said I would never do, I found myself doing one day for that hit of crack cocaine. So I understand that very well. My story ended with I was attacked one day in a neighborhood. A couple of people were trying to steal my car, and I lost control of my vehicle. I ran into a parked vehicle, which in turn killed a lady that was standing in her yard. It knocked her into her house and killed her. So I did end up in prison. I was facing a 40-year sentence. I thought that my life was over at that point. I pretty much gave up. And here's where that community and that family love comes in, is that my daughter at 18 years old, she saved me with just a few little words, just a few little words of encouragement to tell me to forgive myself and to encourage me to use writing as therapy to heal and forgive myself and to forgive all the other people that I was carrying all that hatred around. So um, yeah, I understand about overcoming. I was very blessed to get a 5 year sentence, not a 40-year sentence. Um, I got out of prison. I went home. I was able to turn my life around. I was able to rebuild my family, the ties, the bonds of my family. I was able to rebuild my career in nuclear medicine. Very blessed with that. And it took me 12 years, but I finally came out with it after I learned how valuable transparency is and what it does for us as a person to be able to speak our truth and live our honest, true lives and not pretend we're something or somebody we're not. When I learned the value in that, I rewrote the book because I had written it in prison. It was very dark and angry and full of blame. So I rewrote my book from a place of accountability and forgiveness and released it last May. And it made bestseller. And here I am today out speaking in the world. And just my whole thing, like you mentioned in the beginning, is I'm starting this movement, Be That One, to share your raw, authentic truth so that we can educate others to judge less and mentor more. Transparency is necessary, and it's necessary everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
my
it is.
story.
And
So
it,
yes.
it's important to understand the background, the why behind the
Yeah.
why is what I say, and it's
Hmm.
because we all have it. We all, and when it's really deep and it's solid and it's real, and yours is deep, it's solid, it's real.
Yeah.
You That's where the full circle comes in. You understand life. You understand. I mean, I've read your book and I've read it now a few times, and
Oh.
each time I do, what I have realized is that I see something else. I see something like, okay, now that makes a little bit more sense. Like, now that I've gotten to know your son,
Yeah.
and you that much better, and it's like, okay, I'm seeing this, and when you think about the disruption of all the different times that you had, and then lately
Hmm.
I've been watching again, and it's like, okay, you've been having disruptions, but it's not
Oh.
because it's self-induced or anything. You've just been in a geographic area that's been crazy,
It's
yet
been so much.
yet you're handling it differently, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. You have to learn to. You have to learn to prioritize. You have to learn to recognize, and you have to learn to be of service. You mentioned my geographical area down in the southeast Texas, southwest Louisiana area, right on the Gulf Coast of Mexico, Gulf of Mexico. Sorry. We've survived Hurricane Harvey. We survived Hurricane Imelda with astronomical flooding. I'm talking entire homes underwater, just up to the rooftops. Cars, hospitals, flooded, everything, just devastated communities, just completely wiped off the face of the earth, bulldozed down because there was nothing left. And then now, the area where I live now, most recently, which is why I haven't been so active, is I've had to evacuate my home because of refineries exploding due to dyeing plants are exploding around me, and it's very toxic. I have a disabled grandbaby that has severe respiratory issues. She still can't return to her home, which is in the town where I live. So tonight's my first night back in my home. Actually, I just got in from Dallas now, 30 minutes before I came on. So yeah, it's
I
just
recognize the back. I mean, it's different
yeah,
than
I'm
your
home.
background used to be. Yeah, so you
I
are
have no
home.
idea what I'm breathing in right now, but I'm home. But anyway, yeah, and it's about just taking it one thing at a time. I'm a person that fills my plate too full, and I've learned to admit it. I don't say no often enough, and but we have to learn to self care on top of giving. That we say give, 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 but there's a point where at some point you have to self care so you can give,
Right.
and it's a process. You have to learn it, but I do believe in my heart of hearts that that's where our blessings come. And I never understood it before. I always in church, give, 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 you'll receive 10 times. Or people say in the community, oh, I feel so good. I get more out of giving than anything. I think, yeah, right. You don't get more out of giving. Give to me. I'll get more. But once you get out there and you get, yeah, I'm being real. I'm being
Right,
transparent,
yeah,
you
and I
know.
love that about you. I mean,
It's
this
the
is and
truth.
and I love it because
Yeah.
and because you come from different places. You've been in different places and 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 it was kind of like, oh, there's a little bit of that, and so keep going though.
Well,
So
and there's another side to that too that really burns me up is now that I've learned and experienced what it truly does feel like the meaning of giving. It doesn't mean monetary. It's of yourself, of your time, which is the most valuable thing we have, right?
right,
There's another side. Then there's those people out there that just give, 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 give to get their name in the light. Oh, I did this for this person. I did this for this person. But what I find the most challenging thing, and I heard this at a church sermon years ago, is challenge yourself to do something for somebody and not tell a single person you've done it. Let it be
right,
between you and God, and just
right.
see what blessings come your way because it's tough. I've tried it. I failed at it. Because it's tough to hold it in, and for lots of reasons. You do help someone, and you feel good about yourself because it lifts you up too. You want to tell your parents or your kids so they can learn from it. But it's tough to truly give, Tamara, and not tell a single soul, not get any accolades from it at all. But it's all about service, and that's a great thing about Chemo Buddies is there's so many ways people can get involved and give and help. Just so many. You can donate money. You can join as a buddy. You can join as a mentor. You can join as an educational person. You
Right.
can join as just a patient that needs help and needs support. You
Mhm.
can join as a sponsor. I mean, there's so many ways for people to get involved and be of service. It's just amazing. I'm just so grateful. I'm so happy you won, although we competed. I'm very happy that you did win the next Global Impactor because you were ready to launch this. The world needs this, Tamara, and I'm just so happy to be here with you doing it.
Well, thank you, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And and in truth, I the way I have always looked at it, and anybody that's close to me in regards to the next impactor, the first global next impactor, is that I see that we all won, that we all
Absolutely.
truly won, and in building
Absolutely.
Chemo Buddies, because it's not really Tamara Hunter was the name, yes, but I ran on the platform, and the reason I didn't put the nonprofit as the winner is because my story is bigger than
Yeah.
cancer, and I wanted to be able to share that at some point because yes, it filtered into cancer, but there's so much more involved,
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
be able to have that a vehicle to be able to share that yes, if you have been through domestic violence, that could actually cause cancer. If you have been through this,
Yeah.
that could cause, and there has been those stories within, my lifetime, and I don't define myself that way. However,
Yeah.
it was a matter of being able to inspire others, and yet the whole concept, and that's why I love what we're doing and how we're doing it, is that anybody that was involved with the next impactor, the coaches are working with all of us. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
we're
Yeah.
we've got two of them coming on the last 2 hours of
Yeah.
this, and you're going to be coming on too, and it because this is what making an impact is all about. And so like any of you that are not that are an impactor to be, or you were in it and you haven't yet joined us as a volunteer, consider it, because this is
Absolutely.
not a volunteer just for this event. This is a volunteer for this organization. And in truth, what we are doing is we're doing it all together, and we've got some of the best people
Oh
as
yeah.
volunteers working with us, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And there's so many different levels of commitment. Don't be afraid to join in fear that you won't have time for it, because there's just so many different levels of commitment. It's just you joining and growing the community that makes the difference.
Absolutely.
Just being there and then bringing some friends with you along the way. Like I said before, my big mission is to push the community. I want to grow the Buddies Network because that's where my passion is with the patient.
Oh yeah.
So, just I encourage you to please join, bring someone on, bring a friend, join together, do the buddy system, whatever you need to do. Reach out to me, reach out to anyone, go to the website, cb4l.org, and just read about it, get the information. But join, it's free, it's not going to hurt you. And if you can't find anything there, which I challenge you to not find anything you didn't know there, but if you don't, then just don't go back. But I mean, join it. At least take that step and join.
Right, and
Yeah.
we have so much coming around the corner. 2020 is going to be huge, and
Oh
yes,
yeah.
I mean, I am all about the Buddies Network. That's what this is all about. That's why this has
That's
been
right.
started. And do I believe in it? Yeah, absolutely. Because you know what? I lived it, and
Oh yeah.
and it's when I look back on the experience of it, and when I saw the video that Skip did, it was interesting to be able to see some of the footage that my original buddy and I did shoot, and that was like over 2 years ago that we did
Yeah.
that. So this is not like, yeah, this is something that has taken a while to get to this point, and now we're ready for it to just start launching, because it's time. It takes a while to build the bones, it takes a while
It
to
does.
build the foundation, and the validation and the experiences, and to be able to tell the stories and everything that we have been doing, and now we are poised for the growth, and
Right.
that's where I'm grateful that you came on, and there's no accidents in all of this, absolutely none, not one, because it's like you say often, you can come from a place of experience that I can't,
Yeah.
and then it's vice versa, and that's where collectively we can say, okay, the need is real, the time is now, the vehicle is here, let's do it.
Well, yeah, because as with you, I mean, you're heavily involved, of course, so you see all rounds. But for me being on the clinical end of it, I see things like, for instance, I treated a father and a son who both had cancer. The father chose adjunctive therapy, where the son wouldn't have anything to do with it. The son wanted traditional therapy, and I got to watch that and watch and see the outcome and watch the growth of it. And it's just, there's just so many ways, there's so many views
Right.
about, the family members and the divorce rates and the depression. And
Yeah.
I would watch my patient come in before they were ever diagnosed and they'd do their very first scan. And most of my patients I do every 4 to 6 months, I'm doing another scan on them. And so I get to go through the journey with them. But a lot of them I see come in and I can just watch the depression. I just
Yeah.
watch it set in,
Right.
one, and then the weight loss
Yeah.
time and time, and then the self confidence. They start drawing in, and
Right.
then they start isolating, and then I watch that whole thing happen. And it's hard for me from the clinical side because I just want to put my arms around them, and and now I can put my arms around them by giving them chemo buddies, because those are a bunch of arms. And so I can
Right.
share that with them, and that can be my arms around them, and let them know that, gosh, you're going to get through it. You will. It's going to be some hard days. I've lived hard days, a separate set of hard days. The next person's going to have hard days that might be different than either of us. But thing
Yeah.
is, with community, we will get through it. We will survive with community, because that's the way we're built. That's what we're designed to do. We are designed to survive by being together and working together. So
Exactly.
yes, yes,
Exactly. And this is where I am so very grateful that you were able to share these kind of situations, because my doctors and nurses, when they were convincing me, because of the experience that I had with my buddy, they noticed it, they saw it, and they saw the difference that it not only made in the two of us, but it made to those that were around us for those moments in time that were in the chemotherapy room or were there to visit the doctor, and just that energy change.
yes,
And they kept just almost kind of that, do you understand how much the world needs this right now?
yeah,
and
yeah,
and at first I didn't, but then when I started doing the research, and then when I started going out there and really meeting the people, that's when I knew. And when you mentioned the divorce rate, that is an
hmm,
incredibly important piece to this whole puzzle too, is because
yes,
that's one of the reasons that we have it set up the way we do with the patient and the support people. Because
right,
if we can take some of that stress, because you come to cancer with the set of skills and with the set of experiences and everything that
hmm,
you were already having in the family. So if the family dynamic was already somewhat struggling,
hmm,
it is a very difficult thing. However, what I have seen now, when people have been able to talk to someone, and then they come back to say, "Wow, I'm realizing that I really do still love that person," and having that buddy to talk to, and having that reminder of why, and why would I want to leave this? That other stuff is not important. This is
the
important.
priority thing,
Right.
yeah,
But having someone that could understand and talk their language and be able to talk it out freely, and being able to experience that, that's
absolutely.
powerful.
Yeah, and also too, this is fairly new. Chemo Buddies, you've been around a couple of years, but you're just launching now. You're gaining the social proof now, so it's all relevant. It's all so important. Um, but just in this short amount of time, just in the last few months, I've witnessed personally a patient that did join Chemo Buddies. She was diagnosed, I think it was her second time through cancer, and her husband actually left her.
Right.
And he left her. Then it came full circle. He was diagnosed with cancer and came back because he then realized how much he needed support. So, I mean, there's just so many different dynamics to the whole thing, and he was turned on to chemo buddies. So, sometimes it's hard on couples because I hear about it because people come do these scans. They're sitting with me for 2 hours in an isolated room. I mean, so a lot of times they vent to me. I become a therapist. I become a best friend. I do my best to just whatever they need. I'm there. But I hear a lot of things, and a lot of patients will open up about like their sex drive, for instance. A lot of spouses don't understand when you're going through chemo, your body changes. You lose confidence, you lose drive, your hormones change, your smells change, everything changes. And, spouses get angry. And so it's a great opportunity for other spouses to know they can get on that buddies network and talk to other spouses that are going through the same thing. How long did it last? What do you do to get them back in interest again in sex? Because sex is important. It's not the most important thing in life, but it's an important part. It's part of life, and
Right.
so that's what the spouse is concerned. The spouses worry about their needs as well. So, it's a good place of education so that you can talk to other people going through it. Because with me, that was my biggest thing, Tamara, is when I was going through all of my stuff, all that adversity, all my crap, all the domestic abuse, all the stuff with the crack addiction, the stealing, the lying, the manipulating. I felt like a monster because I felt like I must be the most horrible person on earth. It wasn't until I went to prison and sat still long enough to gain trust of other women and them trust me enough to share openly and transparently that I realized that they were doing the same things. And we're not monsters. It was the addiction. I internalized it. So it's good to have community. It's good for this buddies network because people to know if they're feeling a certain sort of way today, it's okay. Or about their spouse or their mother or their son. I have a friend that has a son that a young 18 years old got diagnosed with lymphoma and refused treatment. But because he was
That's
18,
common.
mother couldn't do anything.
No,
Um,
no
he
age.
came back around, and because he's 18, they feel young.
Yeah.
They don't see past the tip of their nose. They don't think it's
Right.
going to happen to them. And that's
Right.
another thing I want to mention too. Is it's so frustrating for me as in the clinical side is I'll get my schedule, I have 10 patients and I'll see their ages, and I'll see 30 something, 20 something, 40 something. And those
Mhm.
20 somethings and most of the 30 somethings, I would say over half of the time, they don't come. And I know they're not going to. I tell myself they're not going to show up today. They're 20 something. They don't have time for this. And that's the truth. They don't see past the tip of their nose. They don't see it as an imminent threat because they're young, they're strong, they're healthy, and so they don't see it as such a crisis or they're in denial and they don't know how to handle that load of emotion. And so it's sad because those patients, they put it off, put it off, put it off. And then by the time they get there, it's metastasized. Now they're
Right.
dealing with so much more. And, now they're scared and now they're mad at themselves for putting it off. And so, education, it all goes back to education.
And that's where like Brett was here earlier as and he's one of our volunteers, he's one of our interns now, and he is a survivor of childhood cancer in his early 20s, and he's hitting 10 years this survivor, and 20 24, yeah, because he was 14 when he was diagnosed. And we going into next year, we were talking about that we were going and having a whole push for this group because he's been there, he's done that, he knows what
Yeah.
it's like, and he can talk the language, and there's others too, and he's getting others that are coming together because the buddies are all cancers, all stages, both the patient and those people that support them. And people are like, well, you're all over the place. Well, it's because of the delivery system that we are we have started. Yes, we are relatively still new. We've had to do it somewhat slowly because we didn't want to bite off too much and implode.
Right.
And now we're at a point where there's some pretty darn exciting stuff coming around the corner that we
Yeah.
are ready to launch. And part of it too is this, having these younger buddies that are saying, you know what, we need you. We need you to engage. We need you to take control of your lives. We understand that this is a whole new level of adulthood that many of us, when we hit 18, 19, 20, we weren't necessarily looking at making those decisions for our life. We were looking at, yeah, for our life, but it wasn't necessarily for our life. And
Right.
that's a whole different story. And so I am so excited that we
Yeah.
have these amazing people that are coming to us that are saying, I believe, and I believe so much that I'm going to sit here while Tamara's doing this, and I'll be here to support. And that's what it takes to build a movement of change,
Hmm.
one
Yeah.
person at a time. And we've got
Be
plenty
that
of,
one.
right, be that one.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's exciting.
It
And it's
is.
it's great. It's a good thing to have. And I want to see, I want to try to pull more young people. Like you said, we need more young people pulled into the Buddies Network because, you know, it's different. A 70-year-old that survived cancer is not going to understand or even speak the same language as a 20-year-old. Those
Right.
are decades apart. And the lingo, I mean, I have a hard time communicating with my 19-year-old son, and I'm 52, because the lingo is different. I mean, things have changed so drastically in the last 15 years. It's just been a drastic shift in generational gaps. So, it's important to get people that can speak the same to each other on a level that they understand each other. So that's why we need to grow this community and across cultures as well. That's why
Right.
we need to grow it globally across different
Hmm.
cultures, because different
Hmm.
cultures look at things differently.
Yes.
And the way they address it, and their belief system, and what they want to choose to put in their body, or religious, what they're allowed to put in their body on their religious upbringing. So,
Right.
it's
Or not deal with it at all, because there are some cultures that they're shunned. And
or they
and
just strictly
and
believe in prayer and don't treat it. Hmm.
right. And so that's where having the network grow like it is, and that's where I it's like, okay, we're going to be done with this 36 hours, and then it's like, okay, now get ready for the launch of what it is that we've been working on for a while now, and that I'm
Hmm.
so excited to be able to take forward. And so that's why the funds, yes, we are looking to build the funds, and so that we can actually sustain this,
Yeah.
so that we don't implode it. That is the last thing we want to do, because this is a program, this is so needed. We've got amazing volunteers, we have people that believe, we have programs ready to go, and we need the buddies to completely come, which you build it, they will come, we know
Yeah.
it, because it's needed. And then, oh my, watch out, there's so much more around the corner, and because there's nothing that is impossible when you have good people coming together to make change.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I've learned, Tamara, going through all the adversity, once you've lived and survived through something, you see the world differently. I have so much more empathy and compassion for addicts and domestic abuse, to where I was very judgmental before. And I'll just be honest, I'm human. I was judgmental because I was uneducated. But what I encourage, other than just being that one to come forward with your raw truth, is leave your legacy behind. Write your story.
Yeah.
Write your story. Which was, because I promise you, you were chosen. You know, I didn't want to. I didn't want to believe I woke up on September 18th and was destined to go kill someone, you know, but it changed my life. It saved my life. And I'm a better person from living through all of that. And it's what we choose to do with that knowledge on the other side, you know. If you've lived through something, if you've gone through something, I feel like you were chosen because you are strong and you can give back. You can help others by pulling them through it. Um, you know, a little part of my story, a lot of people already know, is with my disabled grandbaby that's blind and deaf, was born on the same date as the date that I had the car wreck and killed someone. And I blame myself for that for a long time. But you know what I've learned through all of this, with having a daughter that's the strongest, most superhero
Yeah,
person in the world,
it's
best mom ever,
amazing. Yeah.
um, is I've learned from her as she's learning, as she goes through her own adversity, she's teaching me. You know, I've never stopped and stood still long enough to even look at the disabled community because it wasn't in my realm. It wasn't anything I had to deal with. Um, but there's so much that we don't know. There's so much we all need to be educated. Like I said before, just having the education, so if someone around you comes down with cancer or ends up in chemo, you have the knowledge and you understand how the best way to help them. You know, things like don't say, "Can I go to the store for you?" You call them from the store and say, "What can I bring you?" That
Right.
takes the
Right.
burden off of them. Now
Right.
they don't feel like they're putting you out. You're already there, right?
Right.
Or
Right.
not, uh, you know, what, I'm going to make you something to eat. What do you want? It's, you know, like, well, what do you feel like eating? I feel like this. Do you want to join me? You know, things, there's so many different little tiny nuances like that. And
Mm-hmm.
learning from that through the disabled community with my daughter, she taught me, she said, "Mom, you know, when I go out in the community with Eliana, um, it's as though I'm invisible." And she said, "That is the most painful place to be. I would rather people stare me down, make fun of, or point and look, than to pretend I don't even exist."
Right.
And she said, "That's the most horrible feeling in the world." So people just need to be educated. Same within this chemo world. If you see someone that you know, obviously they've lost their hair, you notice a sudden weight loss, you know they're going through something, learn what you can do to be a blessing to them. I mean, they've got enough on their shoulders as it is. They don't need to be, you know, looked at, made fun of, or any, you know, learn how you can be a blessing for that person by
Right.
just giving them a phone call, giving them some attention, asking them, "I've noticed these changes. You know, what's happened? What are you diagnosed with? Is there anything I can do to help you?" And I want to just go into this real quick. This has come up a lot lately in the workplace. I'm noticing the 10-year pill, and I don't know a whole lot about it yet. I'm learning about it now, but I do have a very close family member that had breast cancer, was on the 10-year pill. Um, Within, I want to say 6 months of stopping the 10-year, of ending, you know, after the 10 years were over and she got off the 10-year pill, got breast cancer in the other breast. And then I had another patient, and that's a close family member of mine. I had another patient that came through recently that was on the 10-year pill, and the same thing. They got off that pill and boom, they've gotten cancer again. So that's like a huge thing going on right now. So that's something that hopefully we can get some more education
Right.
aspects of things like that on the website
Right.
so
Right.
people
Right.
can go and
Absolutely.
research.
Right, right. And I completely agree with you on that. In fact, that's one of the reasons that we do have some medical people that are in our realm and that believe in us. And so we can call upon that because that would be a hormone, the 10-year hormone pill. Is that what you're
Hmm.
talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, the one that blocks.
Right.
But as soon as they
The
come off
hormone
of it,
blocker. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I believe so. See, I didn't have to go on those because I was the hormone negative.
Yeah.
So my with my cancer tumor, and that's another thing. And this is where this is really important, and we're not going to be able to go into it because of time right now. But this is why also Chemo Buddies for Life was actually created, was so that we can help people to understand that you need to understand what your tumor makeup is. You don't
Yeah.
just hear
Yeah.
that you have breast cancer, you have a pathology. You go to the next
Mhm.
level and find out what the DNA and the cellular level of your tumor is because each
Mhm.
one is different. And all of the different cancers are different within the different cancers. And
Yes.
so that's important for, and we will be discussing that more, and that's why I'm grateful to have you as a part of our team, Mistie Layne, because we are in this for the long haul, guys, and
Absolutely.
we're going to actually be out there affecting the one, and then the one, and then the one,
Yeah.
and we are doing that as a movement going throughout the world, one buddy at a time within the Buddies Network.
Yeah. And I want to mention also before we close, because I think this is really important, again, from the clinical side, is patients aren't being told that sugar feeds cancer. They're just not being told. They come in, part of the pre-op for the study is you can't have sugar. And why? It's because it blocks what we're trying to do. The isotope can't get in. But sugar, if you have a tumor that's actively metabolizing, it's pulling sugar in as a food source. And these patients aren't being told that. And these patients are on these high sugar diets. I have a sugar addiction. I admit that. I always think, oh my gosh, if I get cancer, it's going to be horrible, horrible because I have a horrible issue with sugar. But we need to educate and know that, get off that sugar because you're just feeding it. There's been studies done. I can't recall by memory right now the exact studies, but where they took cancer cells and put them in a petri dish in a contained environment and starved them of all sugar, and they died. The cancer cells died. Now the problem with that is we have natural occurring sugars in our body, so we're working to genetically figure out a way to engineer it to do that, to isolate that. But until then, just try to decrease your sugar intake because that alone will help.
Yeah.
At least with the spreading of it or the rate in which it's growing because it feeds it.
Well, and thank you for sharing that. There's so many things that we are going to be able to help with this nonprofit, and keep it simple and keep it fun. We believe in fun, humor, hope, and heart. Keeping it, and so that we feel as though, yes, we're going to keep it simple so
Yeah.
we can get through this, get to the other side, not let cancer, define us, and then
Mm-hmm.
keep it going. And what comes around goes around, what goes around comes around, and we are going to change the way this is done, one buddy at
Oh
a time.
yeah. We got to
So,
kick cancer to the curb. We're kicking isolation to the curb.
absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for your time. I'm
Absolutely.
glad we were able to celebrate with you that you're back home, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
And I live in an area with increased cancer risk because of all the chemical refineries that I live near. So cancer is pretty prevalent down here in my area. It's always a concern.
well, again, one day at a time, and last segment was a really great one for toxins. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
heard some of that.
yeah, so
Well,
good stuff.
all
So
right, well, let's get out there, guys. Come on, I need you all to join the Buddies Network. We need to grow this community, get it global. I also need you to hit your share buttons and get out there and be transparent. Start sharing your stories with others and educate. Education is the key to everything, you guys. So I love
absolutely.
you. I love you, Tamara. I love this tribe, this community. The Chemo Buddy tribe is amazing. I'm just so happy. So let's do this, guys. We got some hours to go still.
We've got a few. Okay, so we're going to go into healing through art with Christopher Kaysen and Clinton Worthington. So, all
All
right.
right.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.